I want to get to our second and last polling question as we run short on time, as I predicted we would. What is your greatest challenge? This is for you in the audience. What's your greatest challenge in ADC development and manufacturing? Pretty general question, but we've got some options there: linker stability, cytotoxic potency, formulation conjugation, release stability testing, characterization, coordinating multiple outsourced manufacturing steps, finding multifaceted talent, which has come up several times during today's conversation, or something else. Make a selection there. Joe, I'll turn to you again for a prediction. Is one of these challenges what you see and hear more often, or would you pick another?
Yeah, I think toxicity from various conversations seems toxicity is a big issue today that we're still trying to figure out. Even if something is making it to the phase 2 and phase 3, and sometimes it's being shut down because of toxicity and patient death, I think that will still be one of the topics that will, and the barriers, frankly, that will continue in the next couple of years. And that actually where I was coming from when I was talking about different payloads. We're not necessarily moving towards a trend where novel payloads that are more toxic, but novel payloads that are as efficacious, at least as efficacious, but less toxic. You could talk about dosage or DAR, etc., that are changing, but because also CDMOs, there are not a lot of CDMOs that are able to also handle highly toxic payloads as well. So you have that patient toxicity, CDMOs not being able to handle it. And I think that's also driving some use of the single-use manufacturing system, that you can overcome some of the barriers Sandra brought up. You don't have sometimes that capacity. You want to expect how much capacity you need later on. I think because of that scale up and down that is easy to do with single-use system, you can overcome that as well. For working with payloads that are highly toxic, it is better performance and containment environment for those toxic payloads. But I think toxicity will continue to be a barrier in terms of clinic, patient safety, manufacturing, linker stability, aggregation, etc.
Yeah. All right, Miles, let's take a look. Yeah, coordinating multiple outsourcing manufacturing steps, finding multifaceted talent. We have ascertained that this, you need them all, right? Small mall, large mall, linker, you need them all. So I don't know. I guess that doesn't necessarily surprise me. Again, I think coordinating multiple outsourced manufacturing steps is reflective of the nature of this space. I mean, if you look at the pyramid, there are only a few select large companies that are doing. I don't know if there's any company. I had on the podcast not too long ago, I had Ken Keller, from Daiichi Sankyo. They're outsourcing the majority of their stuff. It's Daiichi Sankyo, it's just, this is the reality that we live in, right?
Yeah, and so keep that in mind when you're a small company and you're going to these CDMOs and you're trying to get the best of the best. You're not going to get to the top of the list. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get the slot you want. Because you're getting beat out by companies like that and these large companies. So, so you end up going with maybe a less established, more affordable, CDMO that hopefully has the expertise that you need. You're not going to be able to go to one of these big companies because all their slots are going to be taken up by these big companies that are building ADCs too. So put some competition in there.
That's a good point. We are running low on time.
Segmentation, right? I'm curious what Amy thinks, because that sometimes drives, and what I heard is that drives segmentation, because you're not ending up working with that one-stop shop CDMO that has all the capabilities. That drives kind of that segmented supply chain, segmented manufacturing.
For sure. Yeah, we have a long list of CDMOs that we work with, because it's very difficult to get in with those. They're more established. Yes, they have good expertise. Yes, they have expertise in all of the different pieces: the antibody, the linker, the payload, and the conjugation. But sometimes it's hard to get prioritized to get into those CDMOs.
I can imagine. I think that that little exchange probably addressed a question that just came in from Yuan. Amy and Sandra and Joe, looking at the questions that remain on the screen, we're short on time here. Are there any that jump out at you that you'd like to address before we wrap things up? Otherwise, we will. If you asked a question that did not get addressed, we'll follow up with you.
For me, there's a question on and just keep in mind, I'm not working at an ADC innovator, but will you be manufacturing in-house? So that's a question from Ashley Harp. Will you be manufacturing in-house if you are seeing issues, challenges with CDMO capabilities for your novel molecule? In conversation with early companies, so earlier than Amy and Sandra's companies, that are not able to get the slot, that are not finding the capabilities with the CDMO, they're not able to handle their even services. We're not talking manufacturing, just like research services. They're sometimes putting on hold their ideas and innovation until it takes a year or two to be able to outsource the manufacturing. Because again, we go back to the cost, it is not easy. So even if you're able to figure out and do something in-house, you might not have the capital to expand your capabilities and build a pipeline and hire the people that you need and engage CROs and CDMOs accordingly. So I see, from what I'm seeing, it's hard to convince an investor or someone to give you money to do things in-house when the field is moving super fast and you require an intense amount of money to even set up any manufacturing capability in-house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sandra and Amy nod their head in agreement. All right. I want to give each of you an opportunity to just share a parting thought. I know that we did not get to the entirety of the agenda. I fall on the sword for that. I was too aggressive, but but there's always the hope for a part two. But Sandra, since you're large on my screen, if you want to just give maybe some pithy advice or parting shots to our audience in terms of ADC development and manufacturing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I just think, ADCs have clearly emerged as this very exciting new modality. I think the science has never been better. And I really see CMC as actually being at the center of this, really serving to be a key enabler, a key driver in translating this exciting science into true ADC innovation to benefit more patients.
Very good. Amy, parting shot?
Oh gosh, get experts on your team. I think we've talked. I think we've really. I know it's difficult. Even the audience agrees that this is an issue. So finding that right talent, finding people that are experts in large molecules and small molecules, and dealing with CDMOs and understanding the regulatory steps that go along with working with CDMOs. I think that's really important from a CMC point of view for ADCs.
Yeah. Joe, you've seen a lot of them rise and a lot of them fall. What's your advice to those who are trying to rise?
In terms of manufacturing, engage early. I mean, I really want to reemphasize what Sandra, Amy, and I were trying to communicate. Right, like you have a conversation even before you start anything. Sometimes, like, because you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot if you don't do that, and if you don't figure out if what you're trying to achieve is even if anyone is able to support you to achieve what you're trying to do. That's one. What I'm excited clinically and patient-wise, I think there's an appreciation of figuring out patient segmentation early on, and to maximize your success rate at the end. So patient segmentation, figuring out your diagnostic. I think we've seen a lot of companies not pay as much attention to that as possible early on. So even if an asset is working great, sometimes it's being killed because of competition, and sometimes it's being killed because of you're not able to find your niche because you haven't thought about your patient segmentation. You need more money and you need more cash runway to be able to sustain your operations, and you're just you close, and just sometimes because you did not think about those things early on. And that's because you don't have experts in-house, and you don't have people that are capable or people on your team that you're engaging with early on to help you think about that early.
Very good. Joe, you're officially released. You can go hit that hiking trail now and enjoy your vacation. Thank you for taking time out of it to join us. Yeah, Amy and Sandra, thank you both for joining me. Like I said, I know it was a whirlwind. We had some great audience questions. I appreciate you guys being good sports and taking those on. And, if we need to do a part two, I'll bend your arms and see if we can get back on. But in the meantime, thank you. I really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, my pleasure. Sincere thank you to our audience for joining us as well. A big round of applause to Amy, Sandra, and Joe. Much gratitude to Cytiva for supporting today's program. People have asked, yes, a recording will be available on demand very soon at the same link that you used to register. Share that with your friends and colleagues. Mark August 8th at 11 a.m. on your calendars for our next Bioprocess Online Live featuring Sodio Head of CMC, Dr. Meinard Haslicker, and Vera Therapeutics CEO, Dr. Marshall Fortis. They'll be speaking on the early process considerations for novel protein therapeutics. Also, we have a special Bio Expo Live event coming up July 30th through August 1st. It's a 3-day event. Each day will be focused on a different facet. I believe day 1 is upstream, day 2 is downstream, and day 3 is quality and analytics. So go to bioprocessonline.com to find the link to register to Bio Expo Live. Join us then, and in the meantime, have a great week.